She is the brightest and most innovative.
The best campaign strategist in the game.
Responsible for the greatest political upset in history.
You're a fighter, Jane. I'm giving you another shot at the title.
Hello, welcome to What the Flick. I'm Christy, this is Matt, that's Alonzo. We're talking about Our Brand is Crisis, which was a documentary about 10 years ago, and now this is a suggested by fictionalized version of Our Brand is Crisis. Matt, tell us about it.
So Sandra Bullock plays a political consultant who is hired. She's kind of in retirement. She gets brought out of semi-retirement. She's kind of given up. Brought in to work on a campaign in Bolivia for a would-be presidential candidate who's trying to get reelected after decades out of office. He's 20-something points behind in the polls. And her longtime rival is also working on the campaign. He's behind the leader, played by Billy Bob Thornton, who's playing kind of a James Carville type character to her Mary Madeline. And it starts off as this funny, snarky, great political satire, and then gets kind of serious. Let's watch a clip.
It's a presidential campaign in South America. Fragile democracy, economy in real trouble. Our candidate is considered arrogant and out of touch with people's lives.
How far are you behind?
28 points.
The opposition has hired their own American, Pat Candy.
Jane Bodine.
Pat?
So what are you doing here? I thought you retired or gave up or something.
What happened to your hair?
So you still got a great sense of humor.
How many times have you gone against Candy?
3 or 4 times.
How many times has he beat you?
3 or 4 times. If you want to win, we're going to have to take risks. You're my tracker. Every event that Rivera attends, every speech, you tape it. If security beats you up, you are doing your job right. Get that beating on tape. Wake up. This is war. There's only one wrong in this. Only one, and that is losing.
Maybe check and see if anyone understood that.
Levanten la mano si hablan inglés.
Gracias. If you should feel something during the interview, like if you have some tears, could you just turn towards the camera?
Whoa, look at him.
This is it.
Yes.
Tax the rich, feed the poor.
Not lose to Candy now, I swear to God.
This actually kind of matters, Jane. This country could go under. We're talking about people's lives.
You like to pretend you're not one of us. If you fight with monsters for too long, you become a monster.
People will get hurt. What are you gonna do?
We are trying to save people's lives. These are the stakes. And I'm not going to stand by and watch as this nation falls apart. This is no longer an election. This is a crisis.
It's funny when you described it, and it hadn't occurred to me until this. This is the tried and true one last job.
Yeah.
This hadn't occurred to me until you just phrased it like
as soon as I saw it, like, they're going to get her, like, what are you doing these days? Oh, one bet. Don't you want to do this? Don't you want? It's like,
I'm getting too middle-aged.
Yeah,
for this
exactly.
shit.
One last fucking job.
This is one of those movies where you can tell that they're out to do something satirical, but at the same time, is it news to anyone that political campaigns are run like advertising campaigns, and that politicians lie, and that I don't know. This movie wants us to be shocked over things that are super obvious to an 8-year-old. I think.
The satire is toothless. There are no revelations here at all. This is directed by David Gordon Green, which is very strange. Like, in the eclectic career of David Gordon Green, this fits nowhere, and this has like none of his artistic signatures. In terms of the look of it, in terms of the dialogue.
Yeah, he feels like a hired gun.
It's weird. And there's a couple, very much so. And there's a couple of like maybe artful images. Like there's a shot of Sandra Bullock sitting in a bar, and she's smoking a cigarette, and you can see her kind of like with the outside light against the mirror, and it's kind of smoky and artful. Like there are some of his intimate, Malick-y, indie kind of visual signatures here and there, but
he's
not
hard
very
to
many.
pin down, though.
He
I mean,
is.
this is a guy whose career has included, George Washington and Pineapple Express and The Sitter, So I mean, this is a weird one for him, I'm not surprised when I'm surprised by what David Gordon Green is doing, but I don't get a strong sense of him guiding this story. If anything, I kind of feel like this falls into the category of movies produced by George Clooney and Grant Heslov, his producing partner, particularly when they want to make political satires. I'm thinking of The Men Who Stare at Ghosts, for instance, which was not good. I feel like they are not, this is not their strong suit, and they have things they want to say, but they tend to come off either pedantic or obvious, and you know, much has been made about the fact that the Sandra Bullock character was originally written to be a man, and then when she wanted to do it, and they switched it to a woman, and oh, great. Something tells me that when that character was a man, there was less falling down.
Right, there's a pratfall where she gets off the plane, which feels like something out of Miss Congeniality.
Totally.
Right, and trying to play to her wacky suits, but then she's supposed to be like tough as nails and crazy also, so none of these character traits necessarily jibe with the others. She's just sort of like a mishmash of crazy.
And then the big sort of political betrayal that befalls the most naive character in the movie happens so quickly and so artificially that it just it took me right out of it.
Well, and it's, you know, at the risk of people complaining about spoilers, like it's something you see coming a mile away.
Yeah.
My problem with this movie is that the tonal shift in this movie, I think, really pulls what teeth it might have had. You know, it starts out as this political satire that is light. It's not particularly sharp, but it's okay. It's at least watchable. But instead of letting the jokes and the comedy escalate, what it does is towards the end of the second act, it pivots towards this, like, oh, now we're being serious.
And isn't this terrible?
Right, now we have...
Look at the squalor.
Right, now we have important things to say.
No,
and
like, isn't it terrible that the political campaigns are so false?
That too.
Right.
But now, like, we care about people now.
Yeah.
It gets very sanctimonious.
Right, and it's...
out of nowhere.
And that doesn't help, right? I think you can, we've seen movies where you can do really sharp political satire. I mean, Wag the Dog is a great example of that. Like you watch Wag the Dog, and it gets crazier and crazier, but you come away from that thinking, oh God, like you come with a
that all made a terrible sense.
Yeah,
like you believe it all.
Whereas this one, like it's like, oh well, we can't make the jokes any better. Well, now it's time to tell you a serious thing, and that's really frustrating. It makes me think of another shitty political satire. The one with Robin Williams,
Man of the Year,
right? Which starts out as this kind of goofy, like, what if Jon Stewart got elected president? And then it turns into like, it wants to be this political thriller, and that doesn't work either. So I would say if you're gonna do political satire, just keep it funny. Like keep it light, keep it funny, keep it sharp, go for the jugular, but if we want serious movies about politics, we'll watch serious movies about politics.
And dig deeper. I mean, the thing about Wag the Dog is that it really kind of, it was the thing gets so complicated and there's so many layers of deception going on. And this one is just kind of like, we're going to present this image and we're going to reshape the dialogue. And it's nothing that anybody who pays the tiniest amount of attention to politics is going to find shocking.
Right.
And it treats it like these major revelations.
Yeah. The better political satire that's happening right now in real life is the GOP campaign.
Well, sure.
Tune into your other TYT channels for
yeah,
information on
exactly.
that. Also, we should mention it's sort of a waste of a really great supporting cast. We are always fans of Ann Dowd around here.
Yes.
She gets to be the operative who brings Sandra Bullock's character in. Anthony Mackie can just show up and be charismatic as hell.
Joaquin de Almeida is the candidate.
Right.
He's really good.
Scoot McNairy.
Scoot
We're
McNairy,
always fans of Scoot
yes.
McNairy. We just like saying Scoot McNairy.
I would say if you want to see an interesting film about South American politics and the power of advertising, a movie from a couple years ago with Gael Garcia Bernal called No.
Yeah.
Oh.
Check that one out.
Say yes to no and say no to this. So what's your number?
3.5.
Oh.
3.
3. So our average is like a little over 3.
And it's 33% on the tomato meter.
So we're right there.
3.2.
It's a really bad week. Bye.